too. Anyways, let's continue about Ford. By 2005, both Ford and GM's corporate bonds have been downgraded to junk status as a result of high U.S. healthcare costs for an aging workforce, soaring gasoline prices, eroding market share, and an overdependence on declining SUV sales.
Profit margins decreased on large vehicles due to increased incentives in the form of rebates or low-interest financing to offset declining demand.
In the latter half of 2005, Chairman Bill Ford asked newly appointed Ford America's Division President Mark Fields to develop a plan to return the company to profitability.
Fields reviewed the plan, named the way forward at the December 7, 2005 board meeting of the company, and it was unveiled to the public on January 23, 2006.
The way forward included resizing the company to match market realities, dropping some unprofitable and inefficient models, consolidating production lines, closing 14 factories and cutting 30,000 jobs. Ford moved to introduce a range of new vehicles, including crossover SUVs built on unibody car platforms, rather than more body-on-frame chassis.
In developing the hybrid electric powertrain technologies for the Ford Escape hybrid SUV, Ford licensed similar Toyota hybrid technologies to avoid patent infringements.
Ford announced that it will team up with electricity supply company Southern California Edison, SCE, to examine the future of plug-in hybrids in terms of how home and vehicle energy systems will work with the electrical grid.
Under the multi-million-dollar, multi-year project, Ford will convert a demonstration fleet of Ford Escape hybrids into plug-in hybrids, and SCE will evaluate how the vehicles might interact with a home and the utility's electrical grid.
Some of the vehicles will be evaluated in typical customer settings, according to Ford. William Clay Ford Jr., great-grandson of Henry Ford, and better known by his nickname, Bill, was appointed executive chairman in 1998, and also became chief executive officer of the company in 2001. With the departure of Jacques Nasser, becoming the first member of the Ford family to head the company since the retirement of his uncle, Henry Ford II, in 1982.
Ford sold motorsport engineering company Cosworth to Gerald Forsyth and Kevin Cockhaven in 2004, the start of a decrease in Ford's motorsport involvement.
Upon the retirement of President and Chief Operations Officer Jim Padilla in April 2006, Bill Ford assumed his role as well.
5 months later, in September, Ford named Alan Muley as president and CEO, with Ford continuing as executive chairman.
In December 2006, the company raised its borrowing capacity to about $25 billion, placing substantially all corporate assets as collateral.
Chairman Bill Ford has stated that bankruptcy is not an option.
Ford and the United Auto Workers, representing approximately 46,000 hourly workers in North America, agreed to a historic contract settlement in November 2007, giving the company a substantial break in terms of its ongoing retiree health care costs and other economic issues.
The agreement included the establishment of a company-funded, independently run voluntary employee beneficiary association, VEBA, trust to shift the burden of retiree health care from the company's books, thereby improving its balance sheet.
This arrangement took effect on January 1, 2010.
As a sign of its currently strong cash position, Ford contributed its entire current liability, estimated at approximately US $5.5 billion as of December 31, 2009, to the VEBA in cash, and also prepaid US $500 million of its future liabilities to the fund.
The agreement agreement also gives hourly workers the job security they were seeking by having the company commit to substantial investments in most of its factories. The automaker reported the largest annual loss in company history in 2006 of $12.7 billion, and estimated that it would not return to profitability until 2009.
However, Ford surprised Wall Street in the second quarter of 2007 by posting a $750 million profit.
Despite the gains, the company finished the year with a $2.7 billion loss, largely attributed to finance restructuring at Volvo. On June 2, 2008, Ford sold its Jaguar and Land Rover operations to Tata Motors for $2.3 billion. During congressional hearings held in November 2008 at Washington, D.C., and in a show of support, Ford's Alan Muley stated that, "We at Ford are hopeful that we have enough liquidity.
But we also must prepare ourselves for the prospect of further deteriorating economic conditions."
Muley went on to state that the collapse of one of our competitors would have a severe impact on Ford, and that Ford Motor Company supports both Chrysler and General Motors in their search for government bridge loans in the face of conditions caused by the 2008 financial crisis.
Together, the three companies presented action plans for the sustainability of the industry.
Muley stated that, in addition to our plan, we are also here today to request support for the industry.
In the near term, Ford does not require access to a government bridge loan.
However, we request a credit line of $9 billion as a critical backstop or safeguard against worsening conditions as we drive transformational change in our company. GM and Chrysler receive government loans and financing through TARP legislation funding provisions. On December 19, the cost of credit default swaps to insure the debt of Ford was 68% the sum, insured for 5 years, in addition to annual payments of 5%.
That meant $6.8 million paid up front to insure $10 million in debt, in addition to payments of $500,000 per year.
In January 2009, Ford reported a $14.6 billion loss in the preceding year, a record for the company.
The company retained sufficient liquidity to fund its operations.
Through April 2009, Ford's strategy of debt for equity exchanges erased $9.9 billion in liabilities, 28% of its total, in order to leverage its cash position.
These actions yielded Ford a $2.7 billion profit in fiscal year 2009, the company's first full year profit in 4 years.
In 2012, Ford's corporate bonds were upgraded from junk to investment grade again, citing sustainable, lasting improvements. On October 29, 2012, Ford announced the sale of its climate control components business, its last remaining automotive components operation, to Detroit Thermal Systems LLC for an undisclosed price. On November 1, 2012, Ford announced that CEO Alan Muley will stay with the company until 2014.
Ford also named Mark Fields, the President of Operations in Americas, as its new Chief Operating Officer. Ford CEO Muley was paid a compensation of over $174 million. In his previous 7 years at Ford, since 2006.
The generous amount has been a sore point for some workers of the company. In April 2016, Ford announced a plan to modernize its Dearborn engineering and headquarters campuses through a 10-year building project.
The end result would see the number of Ford employees working in these areas doubling to 24,000.
During construction, some 2,000 of the employees were relocated out of the campus to a temporary location in a disused section of a local shopping mall.
Whoa!
Facilities would also be altered to allow ride-sharing and electric and self-driving vehicles.
Estimates of the construction cost were $1.2 billion. On January 3, 2017, Ford CEO Mark Fields announced that in a vote of confidence, because of the pro-business climate being fostered in part by President-elect Donald Trump, Ford has canceled plans to invest $1.6 billion in a new plant in Mexico to manufacture the Ford Focus.
The Ford Focus will now be manufactured in the existing plant in Mexico.
Instead, Fields announced that Ford will be investing $700 million in Michigan, which it plans to use to create 700 new jobs.
Also in 2017, Ford began development of a new, mixed-use urban campus in the Corktown neighborhood of Detroit, with its purchase, renovation, and occupation of the factory at Michigan and Rosa Parks.
The new site was expected to have a major focus on the development of autonomous vehicle and electric vehicle technology.
Ford later began buying up other parcels of land in Corktown, including a very high-profile purchase of Michigan Central Station, which is planned to become the hub of their Corktown campus. And the adjacent Roosevelt warehouse.
Ford expects to move 2,500 of its employees, roughly 5% of its Southeast Michigan workforce, to the campus, with space for an additional 2,500 entrepreneurs, technology companies, and partners.
Bill Ford envisioned the first-floor concourse of the train station to be a public gathering place, with retail outlets and restaurants.
In February 2017, Ford Motor Company acquired majority ownership of Argo AI, a self-driving car startup. In May 2017, Ford announced cuts to its global workforce amid efforts to address the company's declining share price and to improve profits.
The company is targeting $3 billion in cost reduction and a nearly 10% reduction in the salaried workforce in Asia and North America to enhance earnings in 2018.
Jim Hackett was announced to replace Mark Fields as CEO of Ford Motor.
Mr. Hackett most recently oversaw the formation of Ford Smart Mobility, a unit responsible for experimenting with car-sharing programs, self-driving ventures, and other programs aimed at helping Ford better compete with Uber. Alphabet Incorporated and other tech giants looking to edge in on the auto industry.
On April 25, 2018, Ford announced that it will discontinue passenger cars in the North American market in the next 4 years, except for the Mustang, due to declining demand and profitability.
The Focus Active, a crossover SUV based on the newly unveiled 4th-generation Focus, was also intended to be marketed in the United States.
Due to the vehicle being manufactured in China, Ford later announced that it would not release the Focus Active in the United States due to tariffs imposed by the Trump administration on Chinese exports. That's going to roll around.
Whoa!
Yeah, but where's the VIP? VIP? VIP, what are you talking about? Oh, he's asking like where the game is. The lights.
In March 2020, the Detroit United Auto Workers Union announced that after discussion with the leaders of General Motors, Ford, and Fiat Chrysler automobiles, the car makers would partially shut down factories on a rotating basis to mitigate the COVID-19 pandemic.
On March 24, representatives of Ford announced that production in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico resume on March 30 as it was originally planned amid the further coronavirus pandemic spread.
In the first quarter of 2020, Ford sales dropped by 15%, entailing a loss of $2 billion. We will continue Mount Fort in part 3, so stay tuned.